All right, let's get started. So, welcome to Ascending Stone Stories. It's gonna be a new D&D 5e campaign featuring myself, Cora, as a dungeon master, and starring CJ.
Hello. I'll be playing as Hector, a kobold wizard. It's going to be fun.
Puny Paladin.
I'll be playing as Nikos, the Centaur Cleric.
Becca.
I'm going to be playing as Phaedron, the Centaur Druid.
And last but not least, Sup Willie.
Hello there, I'll be Telemachus the Minotaur Bard.
And finally, again, me, Cora, as the dungeon master. So we will begin this first campaign together in the world of Theros. It's thus titled the Greek Tragedy, or a Greek Tragedy even. The world of Theros is a world filled with ancient myth, powerful gods, and legendary heroes, and today we're going to start the journey of 4 of those would-be heroes. So, the sun is warm and the breeze is light on a perfect summer morning. Each of our heroes arrives separately at the town of Dasos on the edge of the Nessian Wood. Right about there. A celebration is underway in the town to commemorate the summer solstice. The summer solstice festival is a religious event to commemorate Heliod and Nylea for the longest day of the year and the changing of the seasons. Dasos is well known in the surrounding area for this annual event, but this year it's significantly more popular than it's ever been. All around the area, the talk has been about a large number of merchants that have arrived this year. They're selling rare and exotic goods not normally seen in these parts, and everyone seems kind of intrigued by what they may find. So, attendance has greatly exceeded the organizers' expectations. Thus, the guards are pretty spread thin throughout, but everybody seems to be having a good time still. We pan in as a young female centaur fiddles with an ornate arrow as she walks into the crowds. A short, lizard-like creature, whose shadows appear to be the night sky, looks up in wonderment beneath his robe hood at the suns displayed throughout the city. A mountain man wearing the pelt of a bear carries furs into the marketplace, and a male centaur grasps his sun-shaped emblem as he approaches the agora.
Yay, transition!
I believe everybody can see, correct?
Correct?
So, you guys approach the agora of this town. Not many towns have agoras, usually the larger ones, mainly the polises, but this is a fairly large town for the region. It's got about 3,000 to 4,000 people living here. Because of the festival, they host the agora here every year. It's a plateau of celebration. There's plays here, shops, marketplaces, and in the middle is a large fountain. Atop the fountain is what's called the Feast of the Gods. It's 15 separate statues, each representing one of the gods of Theros, having a feast together, and framed in such a way that they're chatting with one another, with ornate dragon fountainheads spewing water into the fountain below. The agora is packed, way more packed than it looks here. I just didn't want to flood the screen with 900 different tokens. Everywhere you walk is shoulder to shoulder. You see guards are constantly yelling at people for kind of pushing one another, getting in small fist fights. Atop the various shops, you see these metallic-looking birds of prey. These anvil-right raptors are looking down below, watching. Every so often, they'll swoop down, and a guard will point down at somebody they swoop down at. And start, hey, put that back! They almost serve as guards to make sure that people don't steal things. You see there's a stable nearby with horses in it, and underneath the Feast of the Gods is a line of people kind of coming out of the staircase leading down below. People going to see the priests of Nylea below to get their feet washed for the changing of the seasons. So we'll begin first with Hector. Hector, you've walked in from the west end of the agora. You see these strange emblems everywhere. This festival to an astronomical event has caught your fancy. What would you like to do?
Well, Hector is pretty sure that whatever led him here will pan out sooner or later. So in the meantime, he'll keep his eyes and ears open, but he'll be looking at probably any market or anything that's being sold kind of in a shady area, seeing books or anything astronomical, anything of that type as he wades through the crowd.
Okay, yeah, you see quite a few of these stalls nearby here are selling interesting items. You see that there are merchants selling strange books, old, ancient books. There's a merchant selling what looks like a spell book made entirely of spider webs to somebody. There's quite a lot of interesting items being handed and people being intrigued and pointing them out all around you in the marketplace.
Yeah, he'll be a looker, but he is currently not in the position to be purchasing anything. Fresh to this world, he needs to do something to fix that problem. But for now, he's just a looker at these items. He's a window shopper.
Okay. Let's jump over next to Nikos. Nikos, you are wandering from the south end of the city. What would you like to do as you enter? You see to your right is a bustling tavern, definitely packed with some less than savory individuals, some thugs, some more rough-looking guards. It's kind of a rough and tumble place. You hear a fight going on inside, and the bartender's yelling at them.
Nikos is a priest of Helioid, so it makes sense that he would come to a festival like this. Along the way, he probably ran into merchants and other travelers coming here. And somehow he picked up a rumor that there was going to one of the attractions, perhaps a sideshow attraction, was a half centaur, half minotaur. And so he's very excited to see if such a creature really exists. And so I think that's what he's looking for on his way here. It was probably a joke that someone told him, and he didn't get it. But that's the. So I think he's trying to use his a bit of his height to look around for anything minotaur or centaur shaped, assuming that's what he's looking for, and scanning the crowds and people watching.
Yeah, throughout the crowd, you see quite a few different centaurs towering over the humans around them. They're about a foot or so taller than everyone else around them. There's one in particular straight ahead of you who is next to a cart that is being unloaded by a guard. The guard's kind of commenting and searching through the cart. That centaur looks very irate. Off in the distance, on the other side of the agora, you hear the sounds of laughter and cheers as there's a stage over there where a play is going on. That kind of catches your eye because you suspect if there was some kind of spectacle, it would probably be over on the stage.
Oh, the stage here to the left, there?
Up here, actually.
I didn't see your ping. Oh, there it is. Oh, up there. Yeah, then he'll take some. He'll probably take some time to work his way through the crowd and bumping into people and trying to protect his saddlebags and make sure he's not getting pickpocketed or along the way.
Sounds good. We will jump next to Phaedron.
There are a lot of people here. There's way more than I remember from previous years. She kind of wants to head over to get maybe a drink or something, just to kind of not mingle, but just keep a distance. But with all the fighting and things going on, she'd like to just look at kind of little market shops, if anything is related to Nylea, anything related to like the hunt or archery or anything like that. She's really interested in that type of art and any crafts about Nylea. She would definitely be interested in looking at. That's probably her focus while she's dealing with this big crowd that she's not used to.
Okay. Yeah, there's a give me an investigation check. First roll of the campaign. 14. So With a 14, you wander into this shop nearby. Right next to you, you see that there is a satyr kind of running this shop. He gives you a curt nod, as Fae do to other Fae, pretty often. As you look through his shop, he does see that there are quite a few special things designed specifically to commemorate Nylea. You see there's a pretty intricate leather pouch just decorated with plants that represent all 4 seasons. And has kind of the ability to swap the front and the back to kind of change between the seasons in a way. So you can swap out the cover of the pouch to be winter or fall or summer as you so desire.
This is really beautiful. It would go really well with my leather. She's wearing kind of leather armor that's kind of embossed with 4 arrows of Nylea, just kind of embroidered with some vines and stuff. She'd pick it up and set it down. Really beautiful art. I'm just browsing right now, but I love your work.
Oh yes, that would go wonderfully with your outfit. It's only 1 gold piece, a bargain, really.
Oh, well, you know what? Maybe I'll circle on back. I'll have to pass right now, but I'll try and come back. Thank you.
The satyr nods his head curtly and goes to assist a different customer. And finally, we jump to the mountain man wearing the bear pelt, Telemachus. You have come in from the north entrance, knowing that that is the entrance that leads to the woods.
Very good. Yeah, Telemachus is a little bit unhappy at the number of people here. It's more busy than it was the last time he stopped through to sell his wares. He's been collecting pelts of various animals. So he's got some deer, some rabbit skins, he's got a raccoon. He thinks somebody might be interested in that. And so he is headed to somebody who he might want to sell that to, maybe a leather worker.
Yeah, wonderful. You would know that there is a druid kind of down here who typically buys most of your furs. Right next to him is actually a leather worker. This kind of shady-looking human who runs this shop next to him. Typically, the druid will buy the pelts, and then he'll get the shady-looking guy who nobody ever wants to interact with to make him some stuff, and then he sells them in other towns.
Do I remember this guy's name?
Let's call him Marcus.
All right. Hey, Marcus, I've got some new stuff for you. Handsome Jack here again.
Oh, greetings, Marcus. It's been a while. Looks like you've got a whole new set of pelts to bring in.
I've got some deer. I've got some rabbit. Raccoon, if you like it.
Give me a sleight of hand check to see how well you've cut these pelts off after you've slain them.
Alrighty. Sleight of hand.
So you showcase the first to him. Marcus kind of investigates them. He goes, well, the deers are quite fine. Look like you've had a fair amount of experience skinning those at least. This raccoon is very poorly cut, Telemachus. It's already a
You
rare.
take that back.
How am I supposed to make a profit off of this? Nobody wants a raccoon.
Cut it into smaller pieces. They'll like the details.
He kind of like rubs the bridge of his nose. Give me a persuasion check.
All right.
He thinks about it for a moment, and then he ultimately goes, I'll give you 2 gold for the deer and whatever the other animal is, but I can't take the raccoon, Tully. I'm sorry.
All right, I'll take it. Have any use for dried meat?
As a vegetarian myself, personally, no. But I believe there's a shop yonder, and he like points across the agora. It's hard to see through all the crowds, but he goes, that guy over there, I think, will probably buy it off of you, but he's a stickler. He'll point to the shop over here.
Well, you're a hard man, Marcus, but I appreciate your business. I'll see you later.
He takes the furs off you and kind of gives you a sly smile and sets them to the side, and he goes, good working with you again, Mac. Take care.
See ya.
So throughout the festival, you guys are all kind of pushing through these crowds here. People are talking. There's lots of cheering, laughing. Up on top of the prisoner's scaffold here, which is this second stage down here, that you had pointed out previously, Nikos, you see that there is a priest of Heliod standing up top. He's a good 30 feet above everyone else, so there's kind of a crowd of people all around here looking up and watching him. There's also a line on the steps. At the top is this priest as well as 2 acolytes, and you watch as people within the line were slowly escorted to the top. They kneel before the sun priest, who does a prayer up to the sky, and then ultimately marks their forehead with a yellow dye that is in the bowl of one of the acolytes next to them. Nikos, you were heading to the stage, correct?
Yeah, all the way across the other side.
Yeah. So you come to the stage here, and you see that there is a play being performed. Each of the members of the play are representing various gods of Theros. You see one of them is... oh my goodness, I just forgot his name. Perforos.
Zeus.
Zeus, yeah. No, Perforos, who's the god of the forge, is being played by one of them. The one in the middle is playing Heliod, and the last one is playing Phoenix, the god of deception. So they're having a bit of a tussle, argument. Heliod is pointing at Perforos, accusing him of something. Perforos is thusly very insulted by the remark, saying he would never possibly do it, and he points at Phoenix, saying Phoenix probably did it. He's the god of deception after all. But Heliod seems to be very convinced. Ultimately, it ends up turning into quite the comedic scuffle, where Heliod comes out on top. This is a festival to Heliod, after all. Whereas Perforos is sitting there rocking his head back and forth like this, very knocked out by Heliod's power as Heliod flexes over him, and Phoenix sneaks off the stage to avoid being beaten up himself.
I would imagine this would be a very interactive experience, at least for Nikos. Maybe the whole crowd, but as Heliod would make a point, Nikos would cheer, and then when the other guy speaks, he would boo. And that kind of getting into it, helping him along.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crowd seems to be loving it. The sign above the stage reads that these are the what did I call them? You ever make notes and then never remember where your notes are at? That's me all the time. What did I call them? Like the divine? I think I called them like Divine Comedy Band Troupe. That's what I call them. The Divine Comedy Bard Troupe. They do parodies of various gods all the time, and it's quite a fan favorite in the area. Every so often they'll run out to the crowd and mess with the crowd as well. You watch as other gods come on stage, Nylea, Ephyra, all of them kind of have their turn. They'll come out. Nylea in particular will start to try and braid your hair of your tail. Nikos?
Yeah, sure. As Heliod's doing well there in the play, he would like tap one of the people next to him on the shoulder and say like, that's my god. He gave me divine powers, and like he'd cast light on the guy's belt buckle or something like that, just to show. See, I'm really I'm important with him.
The guy gets surprised. He goes, "Oh, wonderful! Welcome to the festival. I hope you're having a wonderful time." He starts showing it to his buddy next to him. He goes, "Look, he's like my belt's lit up. This guy's a cleric of Heliod." He seems incredibly impressed.
You're welcome. I'm impressed too.
So we'll jump over next to Hector. You've been kind of wandering through looking for anything kind of crazy that might be going on. You see that there is this line leading underneath the Feast of the Gods. You kind of edge in to see what's going on down there, and you see that there is a priest who's sitting next to a bowl of water. The priest is very clearly a Nylean priest, as he's just covered in more branches than actual clothing.
Where is this happening?
It is happening underneath the fountain.
Underneath the fountain. Okay, cool.
Uh,
Yeah. Just since a lot of the times sunlight does hurt Hector's eyes, he's keeping an eye on a lot of the more shady areas, but every once in a while he'll glance out into the sunlight to see what's happening out over there.
give me a perception check with disadvantage because you're sunlight sensitive.
Seven.
You look out. It's hard to see anything. It seems like the sun is getting really high in the sky here. It's nearly noon, and there's not actually a lot of shadows for people to even be hiding in, as the sun is pointing straight down on the summer solstice. But you don't notice too much crazy activity. It's hard to see through the forest of legs that stands before you either.
Yeah, no, and the sun just doesn't help. How about out of the sunlight? What's to the south of me? Is this like I see like some room and I can't tell what it is.
I've lost your token. Oh, here you are.
I've kind of just followed the edges.
Yeah.
Staying in the shade.
Yeah, and this is actually above you is this is a stoa, so it's kind of like an overhanging walkway that's in the shade. You see that there are couples kind of getting out of the sun here to talk and not get sunburnt. Here you see a shrine. The shrine is to Nylea. There is a large statue of her right in the middle of it on a place of honor, hovering over the entire temple. There's 2 acolytes kind of working to clean up and speak with any commoners who come in asking questions. They provide blessings here and there as well.
Cool. I make sure to go in and still appreciate Nylea.
The acolytes give you a curt nod. They ultimately point to a bowl where offerings can be made to the temple.
He takes out like 2 pieces of copper, and we'll put it in. He's struggling, so
Understandable.
hopefully that is enough. As Hector will leave.
And the acolyte will brush your shoulder and go, "Blessed be you amongst nature."
Blessed be you too. Yes. And he gives like a nod.
As you walk back outside into the stoa, in the air you see these kind of green threads. You'd seen quite a few of these that led you here. They're kind of moving out into the air. You see them leaning or edging towards the scaffolding in front of you.
Well, he'll try to follow this trail as the best he can, with preference for the shade, of course, but he will follow it as much as close as he can.
They seem to appear and disappear without warning, but they do lead you straight to the scaffolding. And we will jump now over to Phaedron. Phaedron, you've wandered into a new shop. This one is actually run by a centaur. He has his own iron wrought raptor who's kind of watching his shop to see if anybody steals anything. The centaur is selling various types of fruits, and when he sees you enter, he gives you a nod, and he goes, "You look thirsty, lass."
To be honest, a bit. Yeah. Why are you offering?
He looks around and he goes, "I only offer this to other centaurs." And he pulls out a drawer beneath his stall, and he opens a keg that's stored underneath, and he goes, "I got a very, very special spiced apple cider, if you're interested."
Ooh, I could really use it. There are so many people here this year. Do you know why it's so different? Do you usually come?
He starts pouring you your cider, and he shrugs and he goes, "I kind of live here. It's kind of significantly more busy than past years. We've had a influx of strange merchants from faraway lands, a lot of them carrying very mechanical objects. They seem to have congregated here this year. Word is apparently spread to Acroas of the festival, and some reason they are bringing all of their wares here in hopes to make a quick buck.
Do you know where they're from? Did you say?
Yeah, he said they're a Croas, or from a
I
Croas.
missed it.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you kindly. This will help.
And he hands you the
These
cup.
crowds this big. How much for this?
On the house for a fellow centaur, of course.
Thank you. How much for an apple? Or whatever fruit he's got there.
He's got some pretty nice looking ripe apples. He picks one up, a real nice looking one, and he goes, 1 copper.
Here you are. I love it. Take my apple and my drink. Not sipping it yet, just so I've got kind of that, like, feeling comfortable with the drink, always have it look, and start going back out and navigating. I'm kind of really interested in the Feasts of the Gods and whatever the Feasts of Nyria normally do during the year for that part of the festival.
Yeah, you would know that the priest's big thing are, as I mentioned previously, washing the feet of people to kind of prepare them for the season. You know, wash away the roads you've traveled in the past as you prepare to move forward to your future. It's kind of their big thing here at this festival.
That sounds kind of amazing. I want to start moving in that direction.
Yeah, so that'll be happening underneath the Feast of the Gods. You bite into the apple. Oh, it's crisp, right, very juicy. It's an excellent apple. So you start heading towards the fountain itself, where the priest is washing people's feet, and you get in line to head down. Nikos, you see, you've been watching the play for a bit as the last god comes on and does their comedic act. The entire troupe comes out and does a bow. There's about 6 or 7 of them, including a couple of stagehands who got hurt in the process by accident as they accidentally dropped a hanging replica of the sun on themselves. But the crowd loved it. The crowd loved the play. There's a standing applause as people cheer.
Yeah, just goes to show you got to treat that sun carefully. It's not a toy. And I think he'd head over maybe to chat with this centaur over here, and just like, hello, friend. I heard there's a half minotaur, half centaur here. Have you seen something like that? Do you know where I could find it?
He kind of looks at you oddly, and he goes, Is that even possible? I don't believe I've seen one here.
I mean,
Where did you hear that?
if you heard how the first minotaur was created, I mean, never mind. I don't know. I just heard it. Sounded like an interesting thing.
No, I haven't heard anything about that. I apologize.
No worries. Look, you look like you've been to this place for a while. Where would you recommend a newcomer and a follower of Helioid? Where should I go next?
He looks at you and he looks up at the sky and he goes, "Well, it's about nearly noon. If you want to head over to the scaffolding, the priest is going to be doing a display here very shortly. Apparently, some crazy event or crazy object he's come into possession of. He wants to showcase it. Should be pretty interesting."
Thanks. That sounds grand. I'll head right over.
Yeah. So you begin heading towards the scaffolding. Telemachus, Macus, you've heard about this other merchant who's buying dry foods potentially.
All right. I'm also on the lookout for a general store where I can get things like string to make snares. But I'm particularly interested in hearing or overhearing any news of the movements of the armies of Erois and Mogus.
Yeah, interesting. So there's a general store right here next to where you are currently. You know that to be the pretty established shop. This one has been at this location most of the time, not just one of these throw-up shops that are here for the festival. You walk in, you recognize the shopkeeper. It's a human female by the name of Carme. She nods to you as she sees you once more. She goes, "Here for your monthly supply of strings there, Mac."
That's Jack. You don't remember me?
Jack, sorry.
Yeah, string, knives, flint. You got it all?
I have it. Running low on the flint, though. The festival has got me quite busy. It's been... You look around the shop, you see, like, a lot of her wares are missing as she's just been bought out, it seems.
You don't even have a couple that you set back for a special customer?
Oh, I have a few for you, but, just like, no, it's... the last of my stock here. And she pulls out a box, and she's got some flint in it. She goes, "I knew you'd probably be here today, so I set these aside for you." She puts the flint in the counter. She runs back. "Let me get the string." She heads back to the back of her shop to go get it.
I appreciate it, lass. And while you're on your way, be giving me some information, too.
She comes back a couple minutes later. She's got the string kind of wrapped around her arm to hand to you. And she goes, "Aye. As far as the armies, they haven't quite been on the move as much lately. It seems that the Crowan Island has camped out south of Mount Velis. Something about smoke pouring out of the mountain lately. They've caused for concern. The Mogus army has been quite aggressive, actually, up in the plateaus. They've been attacking anybody who comes anywhere within 100 mounds of the place."
Sounds about right. Well, I appreciate it. Here you go.
Take care. Have a good one. See you next month. As you walk out of the shop, there is a large crowd gathering in front of the scaffolding now as high noon is approaching. We'll jump back to Phaedron. Phaedron, you've gotten in line at the Feast of the Gods, but a lot of the people in line seem to be turning and talking to one another and pointing at the scaffolding as they'll leave the line to head over that way. Would you like to remain in line? You want to head over the scaffolding yourself?
Is what's happening over there something that I'd be familiar with, having been to the festival previous years? I'm trying to decide if I'm excited to get over there, or balancing that against having my feet cleaned and just chillaxing.
Right. This is not something that normally happens. They usually do some kind of celebration at high noon, as that is kind of a holy moment for Heliod. But whatever's happening here is a little more grand and bigger than it normally is.
I'm kind of happy for the crowds to head in that direction. I will, after I get my feet cleaned, head in that direction, be behind the crowds and not in the thick of it. So I want to stay in line.
Okay. Yeah, so most of the line kind of disperses, and you end up being fourth or fifth in line of a line that was about 20 to 30 people. And the Nylean priest actually seems to look outside, and he begins speeding up as he's excited for the event that's about to take place as well. He does his prayers over those in front of you, before you finally approach, and he goes, "Oh, a centaur. We don't have a whole lot of centaurs approach for the cleaning." He looks down at your feet and he goes, "Wonderfully clean for a centaur as well."
Not a lot of work there for you, but to be honest, I would just love a moment of relaxation with all of the big crowds this year and so many more booths and so many more merchants. This is a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And he yells for an assistant to come over, and the assistant comes over, and she sits down next to him with another bucket, and they start doing 2 of your feet at once. So you have twice as many feet as most people will come in. They begin speaking prayers. They actually lace flowers into your fur around your hooves as they do this. They wash your hooves, they clean the fur around your legs, and give you a blessing of Nylea.
Is there a bowl for a gift or anything like that?
Yes, there is right in the center of the place is a offering bowl. You see there's a little slot for you to slip coins into.
I put in 2 silver and I say, "Thank you, have a good festival." And then I start heading my way to figure out what is going on over there.
May Nylea's blessings guide you, my child. You head out from underneath the Feast of the Gods to this large crowd. It seems almost everybody in the festival has now been congregating this way as word has spread that something big is happening at noon. Okay. I'm not sure I actually ever decided on a song I was going to do for this part. Let's do this one for now. So, right at noon, you hear a hush begin falling over the crowd as all four of you begin congregating in the area. The priest stands at the top of the scaffolding over this crowd, his hands up to inform them to quiet down a bit. The sun is directly overhead, and you guys watch as the silence creeps ever quieter and the shadows begin disappearing. At exactly noon, the priest lets out a cough. He begins making a speech talking about the radiance, the love, the healing warmth of Heliod. And he makes an announcement. My lord has blessed this temple for its faithful servants on this day. Jonathan, bring up the artifact. You see a acolyte begins ascending the stairs to the top of the platform.
Get a move on, Jonathan!
On his face, Jonathan kind of gives a look at you, and you see that he is in pain. He's holding in his hands a metallic sun. It seems to shine almost with the bright light of the sun of itself, and it's hard to look at. It's very clear that this artifact is burning his hands. He's got pain on his face. He seems to be trying to smile through the pain, though, as he ascends the steps. When he gets to the top, he hands the sun to the priest, who takes it in his hands. The priest holds this sun high above the crowd, but seems to be unhurt by its heat. Even from below, you can feel warmth kind of radiating from the sun down into the crowd below. The Morning Lord has presented this magnificent artifact to its temple as a reward for our faithful service to him. The large clouds that you see today are also a sign of his pleasure, as he has brought many people to the festival in his honor. And as such, we prepare to light this festival for the remainder with the sun's power. Photia. He announces this word. You can feel magical presence come from the word. And as it does, the sun begins floating in his hands as he releases his hands. It begins floating out over the crowd and shining incredibly brightly. A few moments later, it catches on fire, and you can no longer look at it. There's a wave to the crowd as everyone goes, "Oh!"
What
as
the
they
hell?
look away.
Nikos applauds lightly.
My eyes.
Quite a lot of them. Quite a lot of you applaud. In particular, Hector. All of the shadows disappear underneath this stoas as this thing begins lighting up this whole area, and you become almost blinded by its energy. You have nowhere to hide from the sun anymore.
Definitely not enjoying that.
The sun floats out. It goes about 20 feet above the Feast of the Gods, which stands above the crowds itself. This fountain is massive. It's pouring out water from 10 feet above as the gods themselves stand 10 feet above everyone else. But this sun stands 20 feet above that, shining brightly and just destroying any shadows in the area. The crowd lets out an applause as it begins shining to represent high noon. And when it does, you hear the sound of a loud hammer dong, hitting an anvil. It seems to echo through the air. And everyone seems confused. Nobody knows where it came from. Then screams begin happening. You hear the sound of going, "Ah!" And you look over, the crowd all looks over, and you see that quite a few of these anvil rot raptors are suddenly jumping on people, pecking their heads, biting them, and attacking them. They seem to be almost going in a frenzy.
This
do you
isn't
guys
good.
Of course, messing with too much stuff.
I'm gonna draw both of my swords and head towards the closest one.
Wrong song. Turn that down a bit. So Telemachus draws both of his swords, and you begin heading towards the closest one. Let's go ahead and roll initiative. Suddenly, the crowd itself begins going panicking a bit. They begin getting wild. People begin kind of running away from all the raptors as every single iron right in the area begins going into a tizzy, a frenzy, and moving through and attacking people. Even those that belong to the merchants nearby. There were 2 iron rights up on the top of the scaffolding who had been watching the crowd below, and they begin attacking the priest and the acolyte on the top. The guards spread out and they begin moving to attack various ones. You see these bronze weasel-looking things also begin coming out of the crowds. They begin biting at people's ankles and crawling up people's legs to attack them in the middle. Telemachus, you've drawn your sword. You see there's an iron right attacking a nearby commoner who's trying to push it off, but it's trying to like poke her eyes out, it seems.
All right, I'm running straight up to it and swinging action and bonus action, so offhand attack with the short sword as well.
Okay. So you go to swipe at this thing with your short sword, and it dodged out of your attack. It's very nimble and quick.
I could have sworn I created a short sword that was just that didn't have the additional damage on it, but maybe I didn't save it.
So what I did this for you actually on your character sheet. So if you click on a short sword, there's the option, like a check mark on it for dual wield. And what that does is it moves it down to your bonus actions. And you click that one and it won't add the damage to it.
Oh, I see it down there now. Thank you. Okay.
I'm not sure if you did anything else custom with it, but I added that one for you because I knew you were going to offhand with it.
Okay. Two 10s in a row.
Yeah, you go swiping and you're a little terrified because you actually don't want to stab this person who's being attacked, and she seems to be screaming and falling to her legs. But you do miss as this iron rod is very quick and nimble.
Yeah, I'm also trying to avoid touching other people so that they don't know that I'm really a Minotaur.
Right. Phaedron.
I started backing up. Am I kind of near where I was having my feet washed, where the priests are?
Yes, you were at the back of the crowd here near the fountain itself. Yes.
Cool. I back up. I'm kind of concerned about the priests. I look back, see if they're scared. I'm looking for whatever is the closest one I've got a good line of sight on. I pull my short bow out, draw it back, and try and hit this thing down by Telemachus with my short bow.
Okay. You take a shot. You think you are incredibly accurate as you go at it, but at the very last second, this thing kind of ducks its head, and your arrow goes flying over it, missing.
Shit. She just
With
stays
a
backed
17.
up against the priests, basically. Just watching and hanging out. Ends her turn.
Yeah, so you see the priests themselves are kind of trying to push one another down into the area below. You see that there's a door that closes to it. They know that there are no raptors down there, so they start like pushing back, waving at you. Thank you very much for... they head down to the steps as they get cut off. You hear the sounds of the doors to below the Feast of the Gods shut. Nikos.
Nikos is like Phaedron, is also gonna back up just a little bit, but that's because he's raring to charge at this point here. He's gonna charge in and try to hit it with his mace.
Okay, so Nikos comes charging through the crowd, pushing people aside. Watch out, move! People start separating as a panic is beginning to ensue, and you charge right at this Anvilra who's attacking this elderly gentleman, ripping his hair out, and you swing your mace, bash into it. You feel the edge of your sun-starred mace cripple the metal of this anvil, dealing 4 bludgeoning damage.
And because that was a charge, I can make a bonus action attack with my hooves. So I'm gonna do that too.
Okay, and you wheel around after you hit it, and then you bash it with your back legs, but you do just slightly miss as this thing flies out of your way.
And then the person next to me, I say, "Careful now, ma'am. I've got this. Be on your way."
The elderly gentleman who you had mistaken for a woman, he's got long gray hair. He starts crawling back on his legs, and he goes, "Oh, you!" And he begins moving through, trying not to get trampled as he stands up and moves with the crowds as well. I need to revert something. That 17 does hit. I had mixed up their HP and their AC.
Okay.
Accident. So the short bow attack will actually hit Phaedron as your arrow takes off the wing of this iron right over here.
Not bad.
A lot of rookie error, am I right? It's like my first time DMing.
AC, HP, what's the difference?
Exactly. Okay. Hector, you see that there's this group of people who are kind of coming out of the ranks, pulling up weapons, and taking on these raptors out in the sun here. What would you like to do?
Yeah, Hector's still a little hesitant on joining in as he's unsure if this is a deserved punishment or curse upon whatever they were attempting to do. So at least for this first round, he's going to be casting mage armor on himself, just to protect himself a little further before he sees like a commoner in the crowd starting to get their like hair torn out, and he's like, well, at least that one doesn't deserve the punishment, and so he'll start getting ready.
Okay.
But mage armor at first.
Yeah, so Hector begins covering himself in glowing stars, and they warp into threads of what look like spider web or hair or something as he begins wrapping himself. He has this translucent mage armor around you now. That is both the Iron Right's turns. With the Commodore kind of out of the way, and you push yourself between them, Nikos. The Raptor turns to you. It's in a frenzy. Its head's kind of twitching back and forth like that. It turns, and it's going to try to beak attack you twice. That's a 13 and an 8. Both of those will miss as it dinks off of your heavy plate armor. As it's trying to penetrate you, but doesn't seem to be focused or really trying to assault you so much as just attacking whatever's nearby it at the moment.
Yeah, just scale armor, not plate yet, but
No,
yeah.
scale, yeah. It has plates on it, I'm sure.
Yes, there are little plates all over it.
The other one's going to do the same thing as it's going to try and attack this commoner again, who has not made her way out of the way yet. That does hit. Why is it not showing damage? Oh, there we go. I need to change it to auto roll damage. With it, it's just kind of, you watch as it's really getting to a tizzy now as this thing picks its beak now and was it right through the skull of this commoner. Blood begins pouring out of it as she collapses in a pile. Somebody nearby her lets out an absolute horrid scream. Up to this point, they had just been kind of mildly assaulting people, but it seems that they're getting more and more out of control as this is the first death of the crowd, and suddenly panic really ensues and a stampede begins. The Iron Right continues pecking at her. That's not going to hit anybody else. Telemachus, you've just watched this commoner be executed by this raptor here.
All right. How about you? How about the you wicked beastie? And he's gonna try to smack it a couple more times.
Okay. Yeah, a 21 will hit this time as you poke forward right into its side. You're able to actually penetrate through its defenses, break some of the metal on it, dealing 6 piercing damage.
Okay, I'm going to follow that up with a bonus action with my horns, which in this mode look like they're deer antlers sticking out of the bear's hide. So horn attack.
This is what those look like, by the way. Very metallic looking.
Oh yeah, cool.
Birds of
That's a
prey.
miss.
Yeah, and then a nat 1 will miss as you can't quite get the appearance of your illusioned horns to fit your actual horns and make it look realistic, and you just kind of stumble for a bit trying to hit this raptor. Phaedron, you see this raptor has just executed a nearby commoner, and Telemachus is now trying to deal with them.
The player in me knows this won't work, but Phaedron goes, no, don't! And casts Healing Word on the commoner, which will probably do nothing because D&D. But does that, and then that was a bonus action, draws her short bow again towards this raptor who just executed the commoner.
So Phaedron reaches out and you send healing magic out to the commoner who has just died. You watch as the wound in her head from the beak immediately begins stitching itself back together. It almost looks like vines lacing itself together with the power of your magic. The bleeding stops, and when you do that, she wakes up. As she looks around, she immediately begins crawling away as she has just faced the god of death himself. But just come back to life. You take your shot, realizing you've done some good. You've saved this person's life who is on her way to meet Athreos at the River Styx. Oh no, it's called the River Tartarix in this? Tartarix. But you shoot your bow, distracted by who you've just saved, and it does fly a little bit high, almost hitting Telemachus in the head.
End turn, ready for my next one.
Okay. Nikos.
Now that the initial charge is over, he wants to maybe show off a little bit of Helioid's power, so he's going to cast Sacred Flame at the thing right here in front of it, him, and have that holy light try to damage this thing.
It is very fast. This thing is now flapping uncontrollably, just moving through the air at a darting pace as you try and aim the Sacred Flame where a small sun appears and bursts in the air, but it seems to have already flown underneath it as it comes charging towards you.
That's all.
Okay, Hector.
Hector now will take his time to form this little bolt of fire in his hands. With the other hand, kind of trying to block out the sunlight best he can. But he's going to be firing it at this raptor by Telemachus.
Okay.
No. I do not understand what happened.
What did you do?
I hovered my firebolt and spells and then pressed the dice thing.
You have it set to always crit.
How? Oh, force crit?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it would only do it on... Okay, that makes sense. Let me turn that off. Still misses, though.
Yeah, a 10 will miss as you shoot this firebolt. You're aiming through this stampede of people who are leaving, but an opening kind of appears for a second where you're able to shoot at this raptor, but it's just not enough time for you to proper aim as the firebolt goes flying off in the distance, disappearing. Anything else?
Maybe it's that one's punishment. I don't know. Okay. No, that's it.
So these raptors are both going to attack the targets nearest to them now. They're darting through the air rapidly. You see that they're almost vibrating with energy, not even looking where they're attacking anymore. They're just wildly pecking their beaks. The first one attacks Nikos. Again, just tink, 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 bouncing its beak off of your scale mail. No rhyme or reason of where it's moving. The second one's going to attack Handsome Jack. Both of those hitting. Handsome Jack. This one kind of comes up, pokes you right into the side of your neck. you start bleeding out of the neck as you fall unconscious. Need that auto roll damage. There we go. Does that end your spell, by the way?
Good question.
I gotta announce rolls. So that was a 10 and a 14 to hit Nikos, and a 20 and a 21 to hit Handsome Jack or Telemachus.
Does not appear to be concentration.
Okay. So this wild bear man kind of falls unconscious as this thing is just raging out and attacking and everything around it. And if that is your turn, give me a death saving throw, please.
All right. So first time doing this in D&D Beyond. Where is that located?
So when you reduce your health to 0, you can click on the hit points button, and it'll pop up a little menu where it's like tracks your saves and fails. And there should be a button to roll death saving throws. Perfect. That is 1 failure.
All right.
Phaedron, you've seen that you've just saved this other villager, but now this raptor has turned its attention to this bear man who is trying to bring it down. And in its crazed frenzy, it actually ended up slaying this bear man. He's on the ground unconscious. You can see that he's still breathing, but he's bleeding out quickly.
Charge over there. I reach down and cast Cure Wounds. First level. For 6 points of healing.
All
I've
right.
used my full 40. I've used my action. I'm just gonna reach down, heal this bear man, and end my turn right there, reaching down and curing.
So Phaedron goes running through the crowds as the stampede is just running through everywhere. It's almost difficult to move through. People are pushing you to the side, Phaedron, but you get over with precision to where the man has just gone down. You start pushing people aside so they don't run over him, and you reach down with your hands. A green magical light comes off of your hands and begins patching up the beak marks in his neck as he heals 6 healing. Nikos.
All right, yeah, Nikos is gonna go back to the big heavy mace because that worked better last time. So he's gonna swing.
And yeah, that'll do it. As you swing, you feel your mace connect once more with metal as this thing's just been flying around rapidly, but you manage to dent its wing a little bit. It starts curving its air movement through the air a bit, so it takes 5 more bludgeoning damage.
And then he's just gonna like maneuver around a little bit just to get a better idea of what else is going on. He's hearing sounds of more combat, so
Yeah, all around you hear the sounds of other guards either falling or fighting with these strange bronze ferret-looking things and these metallic birds of prey. Everyone seems to be fighting. All around you, you see these guards and soldiers are engaged in some kind. There are actually other dead people in the streets throughout the area, but they're too far away for you to handle right now, so there's just dozens of people between you and them. Hector.
Well, hopefully the sun's less in my eyes this time. He's going to be doing another firebolt as he aims at the same one as before.
Okay. You're having trouble shooting through this light. This light's just from the orb floating above the Feast of the Gods, just really getting in your way. And you're trying to shoot past it, but the raptor almost looks like a blur in the vision. You're shooting where it was a second ago, almost in a mirage of kinds. You can barely see
Yeah, it hurts. I'm shooting blind here. Oh.
And it's the raptor's turns again. The first one's going to continue its assault on Nikos' scale mail. Dealing an 11 and a 21 will finally hit as this thing dinks off your scale mail again, but it turns its head like 90 degrees. It brings this beak straight into your back, dealing 5 points of piercing damage as it kind of flaps around you in a circle. The second one is going to fly over Handsome Jack's body as he's laying on the ground and sees straight at the centaur who's kneeling down, healing him. It's going to attack Phaedron. I believe both of those hit.
Both of those hit, and I am unconscious.
So as this green light heals Handsome Jack, this bird comes over and immediately right in the back of Phaedron's head as she falls over, landing on top of Handsome Jack. You feel Phaedron, the last thing you feel is this antler kind of poking you in the side, which is a little sharper than it looked. Handsome Jack, the centaur, has just fallen down on top of you. She has been attacked by the same raptor you're fighting.
Okay, a couple questions. Does the priest on the scaffold seem to be doing anything?
So you look up on the scaffolding, you see that there are these priests and the acolytes are fighting off their own two raptors above. The raptors are kind of attacking the priest, and right at that moment when you look up, you see one of the acolytes falls off the top of the rafter. Ah! You hear a Wilhelm scream as this thing falls, and a sickening crack as its back crunches. It falls there. But the priest is shooting off these bright lights, very similar to what Nikos just shot off this sacred flame at these things. And at that moment, you see that the last of the raptors burns up and crashes to the ground right after the acolyte.
Okay, so these two that are up here are not active anymore?
They are dead, yes.
Cool. And would I have noticed Nikos doing this magic stuff?
Give me a... What's your passive perception?
11.
I'd say yeah.
Okay. Jack is just going to stay on the ground and look over at the centaur who has fallen down and say, "Sorry, lass, I've got to try to finish this off." And he's going to clap his hands in the air between him and the creature and try a thunder wave.
Okay. So you're waiting for a moment as the crowds are almost dispersed around here. People have been just moving constantly through this whole thing, and you now find yourselves in more of an open area with a lot more room to move in, as a lot of the commoners and the merchants have left the area now. Realizing you have an opening, you clap your hands together to make a thunder wave. And this thing fails. It immediately, lightning shoots up into it, or thunder blows it apart as you see all of its mechanical parts go flying around you. You cover your face as a barrage of bolts and metal pieces come pouring down on you like rain as it dies.
That's one down. And then he stands up.
And he stands up. Okay, Phaedron, you get pushed to the side. You feel yourself hit the ground. You're kind of like a black floating in and out of consciousness. Give me a death saving throw. You can kind of see this this mountain
That's a
man standing
17.
above you. As you're feeling yourself kind of bringing yourself back to life here. Okay, Nikos.
Yeah, mace is working well, so let's hit it with the mace again. Maybe we can smash this thing to bits. Mace. There we go.
You swing the mace. Suddenly you feel the warmth on your back. You feel heat and energy. You go to swing, and your hand feels guided. You actually roll a 20 as you bash into this raptor. Hitting it from the side. You feel your mace gets pulled towards it, almost like it's magnetic, dealing 5 bludgeoning damage to the raptor.
Oh, that was nice. Excellent.
Anything else?
No, I don't have any bonus actions to do, so no.
Okay. Hector, you look out into the emptying field here. And you see these same threads of green threads in the air pointing towards the raptor that is fighting with Nikos.
Well, I feel like that means it is my destiny to kill it. Finish it off. So one more time, shielding his eyes from this terrible sunlight, he's going to be firing off a firebolt.
You look out into the threads of destiny. You see around the threads, the light almost dims. You're able to see clearly. This burning from the sun is no longer hindering your view as you shoot this fireball. It goes flying at the raptor, scorches it. The pieces begin burnt and ripped apart as your fireball seems to do massive damage to it. It breaks apart and shatters out into the area around it as it dies.
Perfect.
So that is the top of the round. As you guys have cleared out these raptors, you look around. You are the only 4 remaining in the plaza. Up above you on the scaffolding, the priest looks over and he goes, "Y'all all right down there?"
Could use a hand. I'm going to turn down and try to do a medicine check.
Okay. You're trying to patch together Phaedron's wounds, but she doesn't seem to stop the bleeding much. And the priest from above goes, "Oh, I'll get that." You see him start casting a spell, and from a distance you see a magical orb comes floating down. Woof, woof, woof. It goes down to Phaedron, and her wounds immediately staunch. They look almost as if they've been cauterized by a heat source. Phaedron, you are going to heal 1d4 plus whatever this guy's wisdom modifier is, because he doesn't actually have healing word on the spell list, but I wanted to use it anyways. What is this damn modifier? Why can I not find it? It's 3. Okay. Phaedron, you heal for 5. The priest goes, he yells at his acolytes and he begins running down the scaffolding. At that moment, all of you begin smelling burning. This festival has kind of smelled a lot like grease and grime for the most part, as there's been a lot more oil in the area from the mechanisms that are brought into town. There's also been the smell of warm food and fruits to celebrate Nylea's summer festival. Suddenly you smell burning, and all of you look around. You see fires have been springing up from the smoke across one of the buildings. You hear the sounds of screams as people begin exiting and running away from the burning building, and standing on top of it is a golden deer-like creature. Everywhere it steps, the buildings, these wooden buildings, seem to be catching fire instantly as soon as it steps there. And it jumps from the building it's on to the next building. And that building instantly catches fire as well. Begins moving through the town.
Looks like our job's not done yet, lass. And I try to help Phaedron up.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're okay. What is a deer like a particular symbol of like Nylea or anything? Is there any would I have any idea why this exists and why it's here, or just complete confusion?
Give me a religion check. We're not technically in combat right now, but I'm not going to make you reroll if we do go back into. So you look at this thing, this deer that was golden. From the distance, you couldn't quite tell, but as you look closer, you remember that there are these things called varnished hearts. They're very similar to the other anvil rites you're fighting at the moment. This thing is actually metallic in nature. It's made of gold, not just golden. And that is something that kind of represents Perforos more than Nylea.
Do you know what it is?
I think so. It's bad. I don't know if this is something that I'm up for handling. It's associated with Perforos. This has nothing to do with Helios or Nylea.
I'm going to look over at the little blue guy that's been shooting fireballs around the field.
Hmm?
You're looking kind of squinty, but that was a good shot. You ready for some more?
If that's what I'm intended to do, then of course.
Well, it's what I'm telling you to do, so whether it's your destiny or not doesn't matter. Let's go!
So the priest of Helios gets to the bottom and he goes, Wait, come here! I can heal your wounds. He's going to cast Cure Wounds on the 3 people who have all taken damage real fast.
The least you can do.
healing all three of you to full. He reaches into his back and he pulls out these innate-looking yellow vials, and he hands them to you, and he goes, "Here, take these, each of you. If you're gonna help out, you'll need some healing. You're looking pretty worse for wear after those fights. Be careful with that thing. You never know what it could be." He hands each of you a potion of healing, and he goes, "Be careful out there." As he does that, you hear the sound of a crack. You turn around, you see on top of the Feast of the Gods is a metallic-looking goat thing. It has landed on the table and cracked it in half. It has large golden wings and huge ram horns coming off of it. It shines in the light of the sun above you, reflecting. It's almost a second sun as it is radiating the energy of this artifact.
Those things are made of gold. Unless anybody has anything that can hurt it, I'd be careful.
As you say that, it turns and it hooves and kicks two statues. One of them of a woman draped in nature, Nylea. The second, a tall man, radiant and standing above everyone else at the table, Heliod, and cracks both of them. The statues break in half. You see as the rubble falls down into the water below. What would you guys like to do?
Well, if all it wants to do is break the statues, I say we'll let it.
I back that way.
I mean, burning down the buildings is one thing, but breaking statues, that's too far. And he's going to cast a Sacred Flame at it. Not a statue of Helioid and Nylea, not on their special day. This is an insult.
Okay. It's a dex save, right?
Yeah.
So you you shoot out your own mystical-looking radiant sun out into the table. It explodes nearby it, and it blows up right in this thing's back. You see it scorches slightly the metallic edge, but it only seems to do minimum damage, and it doesn't even seem to notice it as this happens.
Nice work, Four Hoofs. I'd like to turn to the priest and say, "Can you turn off that damn light?"
And the priest goes, "I cannot. We were going to run up and turn it off after the meeting. I can't fly."
Very well, then.
So the golden ram turns to you guys, and it lets out a fiery breath onto the water below. The fire breath instantly scorches and steams a lot of the water below you as a steam screen comes up, blocking your view of it. You look up trying to get a view of it, see where it went, and suddenly it flies out of the top of the steam stack. The wings spreading, it darts up straight to the burning orb in the sky above. It wraps its mouth around it and swallows it. Suddenly the shadows all instantly appear once more throughout the area, but the sun above stops. You hear the sound of stillness as it seems like the air has stopped moving for a second as the high new sun blinks.
Oh, that's not good at all.
Wait, the actual sun is gone?
The actual sun blinked. It blinked. It didn't turn off. It just blinked for a second, as if it had. I guess it turned off for just a second, and then it has stopped moving across the sky. You look up. You see all of the clouds have stopped moving as well.
How high up was this thing? You said it was 30 feet?
It was about 30 feet up in the air.
Try to throw a javelin at one. At it.
Okay. Yeah, you throw a javelin. Your javelin falls far short as it goes. You hear it splash into the water on the other side of the Feast of the Gods. With that, the sentinel is just flapping there. And it turns and it flies north towards the Nessian Wood. well out of distance.
Now what?
The priest goes, "Oh, that's not good. Please, I would greatly appreciate it if the lot of you could possibly return that to me." Oh, Heliod is not going to be happy that something just stole the artifact he gave us.
Wait, artifact?
Who cares whether Heliod's happy or not? The sun blinked for a moment.
Clearly an omen from Heliod himself. And that thing's flying towards the Nessian Wood. Ooh, that is not a good place for that artifact to be.
I mean, you mean it's more than just like a fancy party trick, that thing?
Oh yes, that is almost a second son of sorts. He's very nervous at this, and he goes, "It's a very powerful artifact. It's designed to shed light for days on end."
Does it have any other capabilities?
It's burns on fire, and if I know anything about fire, it's not good in woods for sure. Oh, Nylia won't be happy about that.
You mean Helioid had a backup son and he gave it to you? And then he puts out his hand. You must be really important. Pleased to meet you. I'm Nikos.
Are you out of your damned mind? He's using it like a party favor, and now my woods is going up in I just start walking that way.
Wait, where are you going?
My house is there!
My family's out there. Wait.
So,
And I try and just like follow him and try and track him down.
Wonderful, yeah. So Handsome Jack starts storming off towards the north with Phaedron and Short Toe behind him. The Sun Priest holds out his hand to you, and he goes, "I don't know how important I'm going to be after this if we don't get that back. But the name is Alice. I'm the local Sun Priest here in Dasos." As you guys look around, you see that a lot of the anvil rites that have been going kind of insane have been brought down by the guards, who are now wandering after the people who have left to secure any ones that have left the area, as most of the people have cleared out of the Agora at this point.
Alice, could you tell me what that thing was that took it? How did he know it was here?
He scratches the back of his neck. I'm going to do a religion check to see if he actually recognizes it. He rolled a nat 1 with a 6. He goes, I've seen that statue around before. It's kind of a well-known monument up north here, up in the fields. It's just been standing there for centuries, but who knew that it moved? I didn't know it moved. I have no idea what it is, but it flies in here and just eats my artifact as soon as I show it off to the world. Oh boy.
Well, let this be a lesson to you that you just shouldn't show off every willy-nilly thing that you have. And then Hector's gonna start trying to clean up this mess. As he'll follow the Telemachus and what is it? Phaedron.
Yeah. Then Nikos do the same thing. Charge off to follow. We'll get it. Don't worry. I think.
Cool. So, the smoke that's kind of been in this area is now starting to get really heavy as a lot more and more buildings are catching on fire. You see another deer-like thing is just jumping from house to house, setting it on fire now. Just go ahead and stop right there for me, guys, if you would be so kind. Well, where did Phaedron and Handsome Jack go? You guys got pretty far, actually. I'm going to put you right here for a second, if you don't mind.
No problem. I forgot there was a second creature.
As you guys are pushing towards the exit, you see out of the smith, you hear a guy go, "Ah!" as he comes barreling out. He starts crawling towards the exit here. And behind him comes one of these bronze weasel things. you look inside the smithy that it was there. It's been torn apart. You see that there are swords scattered everywhere. The anvil's been toppled over. This sable is now chasing this Smith as he comes running out. It's in a frizzy. It's hissing. It turns. It looks at you, Phaedra, and our Handsome Jack, and it's going to start moving towards you. We've already rolled initiative, so I'm just going to roll initiative for him. And Handsome Jack, you are the first to respond as this thing comes charging towards you.
Okay, I'm gonna run up to it and try a attack with a short sword.
Yeah, 16 will hit it as you. It's bronze of. It looks like it's made completely of bronze. You poke into it, you crack open the bronze a little bit, cutting through it with your iron sword. At least a long dent along the side of it, so it takes 7 piercing damage.
Okay, and then I'll bonus action try to horn attack it.
And you bring your horns down to try and bash into it, but your horns kind of get deflected off the bronze armor of its body.
All right.
Okay. Phaedra, you see Handsome Jack has just jumped onto this bronze weasel-like creature who's become barreling past after the smithy, who's now running into the woods.
Does the bronze creature look like it also can set things on fire, like it's overheated?
No, you don't feel any heat coming off this thing, and the smith itself, which has clearly been rampaged through, doesn't look like it's on fire either, other than obviously the forge that's in it.
Okay, in that case, I run up next to this new person I've been fighting with, and I'd like to try and catch the weasel in a net.
Okay, yeah. Man, I haven't looked at net rolls.
See how I roll. 8. Don't hit it.
An 8 will miss it.
Toss a net.
Yeah, you toss the net at it. The 8 will miss it as this thing scurries across. It's very quick and nimble on its toes. It almost seems to be bouncing as it moves away from the net to get away from it, and it starts hissing at you now, Phaedra.
That's my turn.
Nikos, you see up ahead your the 2 people you just fought alongside with, this other centaur and this mountain man looking guy are now fighting with this other bronze weasel looking thing outside of the smithy.
Yeah, I'll move up and try to bring the sacred light of the helioid on it with a sacred flame.
Okay. It doesn't see you coming, and as you spawn this explosive sun, it scorches its back a bit, dealing 5 radiant damage as its tail just breaks off completely.
Yeah. That's all.
Okay. Hector, you're having it's a little easier for you to see now that this bright sun's no longer in the sky, just shining so much light everywhere, but there are shadows again, but it's still daylight out as the sun has stopped moving overhead.
Yeah, so Hector's going to still be advancing forwards to eventually get out of the sunlight, whether that's the woods or just some cover over there. But for now, he's moving through, and he'll be trying to he's just sticking to Firebolt as he tries to aim it towards that sable.
Okay. So you shoot your firebolt off, and it goes flying at this thing. You watch it completely encompass it. As you look, it seems to have had no effect at all. This thing almost seems immune to fire, based on what you've done.
Yeah, so Hector lets out like a big sigh and like, oh, of course, I should have known. And he'll start putting away his wand and take out a quarterstaff.
Okay. That is the sable's turn. It's like, it turns to Phaedra, who tried to throw a net on it. It's going to try and bite you twice, and it lets out its sharp, large teeth.
Hit.
That is 20 will definitely hit. I need to auto roll.
Unconscious. Oh no, you didn't roll with the damage. So you've got 2 hits. Let's see what happens to me.
So the first one will knock you out.
And then a failed death save.
I'll have the second one go on Handsome Jack. We're not looking to kill people. Turn our instance 1 here if we can help it. This thing bites you. It catches you right in your face, and you immediately fall backwards once again as it sinks its teeth in. It leaps off of your face and heads over to Handsome Jack and starts biting into your furs at the back of your head. Handsome Jack. The 16 to hit.
Which hits?
Okay. It leaps back off of you, looking very satisfied with what it's did there. Handsome Jack, that is your turn.
Well, looks like fire doesn't hurt it. Let's see if steel can do a little more.
You go to poke it, and you stab the ground as it darts off to the side, well out of your range.
I'm going to follow up with a bonus action horn attack.
Thanks for the follow, Perseus. Go ahead. And you go to try and ram your horns into it. You feel the tip of your horns nick off of this thing, but not penetrate through its metal armor.
Okay, and then I'm going to use my my mobile feat to move between it and the guy.
Okay, so you move away at this point as it tries to get in range of you, but your horns have pushed it back a bit, and it can't quite get up to you as you run away from it, getting more than out of its range.
End of turn.
Phaedron, give me a death saving throw, please. That is a success.
It's a 10.
That is a success as you feel yourself coming back into Nylea's growthy warmth. Nikos.
Nikos will continue running up and sees that Centaur went down and lean down and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay. Yeah, Nikos leans down. Your hand glows white with the light of the sun as you hover over the wound in her chin, instantly repairing it for 8 healing.
And then prepare to smack it with a mace next time around.
Okay. Hector.
Hector's going to be using his short little legs, trying to get as close as he can. As he's getting closer and closer, just wishing he had those 4 legs, like Nikos. 30. As he's approaching closer and closer, and he'll just ready his quarterstaff to whack at it if it comes any closer to him.
Okay. Nikos, this thing is just kind of rampaging. It sees you kind of gotten in the way, and you're now standing kind of in front of this other Phaedron who's laying on the ground. It's going to reach up and try and jump on you to bite you. It climbs up your leg. It's going to take 2 bite attacks. So first one manages to get right into the back of your hide. You shake it a bit, kick it. It flies up in the air about a foot, lands on your back, and then tries to bite again, but it bites into your scale mail.
Got it. 4 damage, 4 piercing.
Yep. Handsome Jack. You see this guy is he's kind of walking away at this point to get away from the sable. He's running into the woods as well.
All right. I was just reading. I think that I've been misusing the horns. So I'm going to just do 2 short sword attacks against it.
Any team will hit as you come up. You finally you poke through the bronze with your iron into the back of this thing's neck, dealing 6 piercing damage. It's starting to look pretty torn up, but it is just quote unquote bloodied.
15 for the second one.
And a 15 will hit for an additional 5 as you bring your other short sword, cut through the metal of its leg. Starting to look pretty bad now, actually.
You guys got to finish it off.
Phaedron, you've been healed as the wound in your chin immediately clamps itself back together. You're currently prone.
I just hear this other creature say, "You've got to finish it off," and I use half my movement to get up and draw. I don't have much. I draw a dagger and just try and reach down and stab this thing that took me down.
Okay. 24 will definitely hit as you stab right into it. It's barely holding itself together now with the metal sheets of the bronze is kind of leaning off
end of my turn. Just waking up.
Yeah, I don't remember what Minotaur did exactly, but I thought it was very similar to the hoof attack, but I guess not.
I think I was thinking of lizard folk.
The Hungry Jaws. Nikos.
All right, I got that mace out. I'm going to try and hit it with the mace.
You go to whack this mole, and it jaws it off the side, and you create like a small crater in the ground where your mace slams in the ground, breaking some of the earth in the ground. But you do
Hold
miss.
still now. Hold still. That was a 9 to hit.
Yeah. Okay, Hector.
Hector's short little legs finally get him up here as he's just trying to swing like an overhand whack with his staff that he has.
All right. Hector's staff hits just exactly at the crater with an 8 to hit, where Nikos' mace is also hit. You now leave a little line. The crater looks a little bit like a mace itself.
Perfect. That's going to be it for now.
Okay, the Saber's now. He's surrounded as you guys have just kind of cornered him here. I'm going to roll a d4 to see which one of you is going to jump on, as he's just kind of wildly attacking. So that is actually going to be Hector as it turns and sees Hector just try to slam it with a quarterstaff.
I'm going to use my action to make it attack me instead.
Cool, yeah. So it goes to start leaping towards Hector, and you move right in front of Hector, blocking him as it goes to attack you instead. With a 16 to hit, it does finally actually get, it is able to jump up onto you. It climbs up to your chest, and it bites you on your shoulder, dealing 5 piercing. You manage to just stay up, but you shake it off as this thing chomps down in midair as it's flying to the air and lands back on the ground on its feet, letting out vicious
16
growl.
would just be a miss. I've got an 18 armor class with my shield up.
Oh, you have okay, yeah. Your armor class is 16 on your thing. Right, so you managed to get your shield right underneath its fangs as it tries to bite down on your shoulder, blocking the damage. Handsome Jack.
All right. Jack's going to try to attack it with the short sword to start with. Still getting used to this D&D Beyond.
You stab down into the ground. This thing is just darting all over the place. Super nimble, super quick.
And then as a bonus action, I'll look at Phaedra and says, "You've got this. You've got inspiration, a d6 on your next attack roll or saving throw."
All right. Jack inspires Phaedron. Phaedron is feeling a little more powerful. She's going to do what?
I just stabbed it with the dagger. It seemed like it did a lot, so I'm gonna go for that again.
All right.
Ooh, a d6 might make a difference here.
You gonna do it?
Oh no, an 11 to hit.
Phaedron, feeling inspired by Jack, reaches out nobly, trying to cut this thing, but it's just out of reach. As
Still a little bit afraid of it. It just took me unconscious.
yeah, just out of reach as you're just a little too scared to get in range of its fangs, and it pops its head back right out of the range of your dagger. Nikos.
All right, it's too fast. I'm going to try to swing where it isn't and hope it's there by the time my swing gets there.
And that works beautifully. You start swinging down. This thing dodges, thinking it's going to attack. You're going to attack where it was, and it moves right underneath it. And it crushes it. You crack this thing's head open. It bursts like a flower being peeled back as it crashes to the floor, unconscious, dead.
What the hell are these things? Just looking around.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Would possibly my research have found out anything related to this?
Sure. Give me a history check.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys are all kind of aware of amble rights. They're pretty common in the lands. They're basically mechanical animals that exist throughout Theros. They're more rare out in the civilization. You see them a lot more more rare out in the wilderness. You see them a lot more out in civilization itself. They were a gift from Perforos to mortals. So Perforos designed them and then taught mortals how to create them, but only some of the most exquisite crafters can make them. So they're really what's the word I'm looking for? Desirable. There's just basically like clockwork toys that you can use to perform abilities and tasks and stuff.
And to damage people and buildings.
Apparently, yeah. So the birds are called anvil rot raptors, and these ferrets are called bronze sables.
And there was a deer type one in this area somewhere caught setting things to fire.
Yeah, that one is called a Hector would know this is called a varnished hart.
Heart or hard?
H-A-R-T, hart.
Heart, cool.
I actually only have a handout for that one because they didn't include the art for this book.
So the people that have been that were here, the guards and such, are they doing anything to help with this?
Yeah, so the guards have been fighting off all the ones throughout the entire area this whole time. You see that there are quite a few broken raptors. This agora had been completely filled with these raptors beforehand. They've been all over the place. The guards have been using them to kind of watch for thieves, and they would swoop down and peck at somebody who is pickpocketing or shoplifting, and the guards would run over and arrest them. So a lot of them are now fighting, their mechanical beings that they have been using or borrowing in this case, and they've gone out to get the ones that have left with the crowds, following the crowds to help the ones out in the crowds. A lot of them have, but you still see there's a couple more around the agora just wrestling with either these ferrets or these raptors.
And the heart is still burning things.
Yeah, you see he's jumped over onto the stage now. The stage is completely lit on fire, and then he leaps up once more onto the top of this store right here, this shop here, and it is now caught fire itself. A lot of people are scrambling. In the distance you see there are buckets of water being pulled from the fountain, being thrown on buildings all over the place that is lit on fire, as it jumps down from the top of the building into the path that leads to the forest right here.
Best way to fight fire is to stop it at the source.
That's what it looks like. That's the actual card from MTG, but for some reason they didn't include the art in the book. It jumps down, turns its head towards you. It's about to leap onto the smithy building. And with that, we will go ahead and take a break. So we will continue in about 5 minutes. We'll come back at, we'll say 8 minutes, 9:45.
Okay. All right.
We'll be right back, stream.
And that sunlight sensitivity.
It wasn't doing too much because I had an advantage in the same time. Pack tactics, but the first roll was always low.
I always forget. I always forget about pack tactics for kobolds. This is the first time in a long time I had to deal with sunlight sensitivity because we rolled the entire time in Avernus that there was no sun, so you never had to worry about it. And you're always in a dungeon in Tales of the Yawning Portal, so it never comes into effect.
So when we're on break like this, does the stream get our voices?
Yeah, I can't really separate yet. I have to get a mixer, and then I can mix Discord sound separate from the stream.
We're
So
not
I
hearing
heard
you
your
far.
answer on the stream, but we didn't hear you in Discord.
Oh, I keep forgetting to press push to talk.
Weird.
I can't hear you either. So what?
What was the answer?
Can you hear me now?
No, still can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, my Discord mic keeps breaking so much. I don't understand. Like, my mic works fine on stream still, and it'll just stop working in Discord for some reason. I'm starting to think it's Discord. Alright, I'm gonna come back. Yeah, so what I was trying to say is, until I get a mixer that can separate the Discord voice from the audio of the game, I won't be able to turn off Discord audio at all. But once I get that, I can kind of separate them, and then we can have like chats before when we're live, but before we actually go live, and during breaks and stuff.
I see.
For now, they just get a behind-the-scenes audio.
Yeah, I technically have a mixer, but I don't have a way to separate the sounds. I need a separate output from my computer so that I can shoot the audios from two different ways, and then I can just mute one of the audios on stream. Okay, so if you are just joining us back from break, we have been attending a festival in the town of Dasos, which is a small town on the outside edge of the Nessian Woods. The players were here for various reasons to participate in the summer solstice festival that takes place here in honor of Nylea and Heliod. Now, the festival came to its climax quite literally at noon, where the priest of Heliod presented a artifact that he had received from Heliod himself, a strange sun-like object that floated above the city and deleted all shadows in the area when it was lit. When this happened, it seemed that all of the Anvilrites in the area immediately began going crazy. They started frenzying. They started attacking the people around them, killing members of the festival, and ultimately a large goat-like Anvilrite with wings flew up and ate the sun before flying towards the Nessian Woods. As a cause for concern, the players are now following it into the Nessian Woods in the hopes of stopping it from burning down large portions of the woods. So we've just dealt with a sable threat, and you guys are outside of the smithy. Another Anvilrite that looks a bit like a deer has jumped down in front of you in your path towards the woods. The deer kind of looks cut up a bit. It seems like some of the other guards had possibly put some slashes into it or some arrows sticking out of its back, but scorched up. What would you guys like to do?
Do we know whether these are able to understand common?
I would say with Hector's role earlier, you'd understand that they can take direct orders. So they can understand common, not necessarily speak it. It's more of like you order it to do something and do whatever.
Okay, well, Jack would not think that would work since it's running amok. So he's running straight at it.
I'm the
Alright.
opposite. I'm running away, but looking back with a bow.
So, Jack pulls out his short swords again as he starts running towards it. Jack, as you get closer to it, you can feel the warmth coming off it, the heat. Let's actually go ahead. We've been using the same initiative this whole time. Let's continue using the same initiative. I kind of like that. It makes it easier on us. We'll do the Matt Mercer critical roll method. But I can't roll good with any of these animal rights, though, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's 333 or whatever it was, all low.
You get moving towards it. You feel the heat coming off of this thing. You see that the grass that its hooves are caught on fire as well. Everywhere it walks, it leaves almost a burnt scorch mark on the ground.
Okay. Well, then rather than like I'll get halfway there and then stop and decide to drop the swords and try a different tactic, and then run this way, pull out a short bow and shoot that at it.
All right. You run up. You're feeling like a cat running into a bonfire. You drop the swords. You pull out your bow. You shoot.
22.
It hits straight at this thing. Goes into its side. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. It goes straight into its side, piercing through it, dealing 4 piercing damage as you break through its defenses. But you see as the arrow that you've shot into it immediately catches fire and burns up in the air as it's gone through. But it takes.
I'll turn and look at Phaedra and says, "You're up." And she has an inspiration again, D6.
Okay. Phaedron.
I want to have been kind of running away. Let's see if I can Q while I do this. Q. Want to have been kind of running away while sentry looking back with my bow. So hopefully I've seen what just happened with Jack's short bow. Did it look like the arrow had an effect or didn't?
Yeah, the arrow definitely seemed to have broken through some of its armor. This thing is almost like a rose gold color. It's not necessarily looks like it's made out of gold, but it's not quite bronze either. It's a little tougher than that.
Okay. I take a shot while I'm kind of trotting away.
Okay. And you do the same thing. You pull out your short bow, you shoot at it. The arrow pierces right through it for 9 piercing damage. You get a little higher on its neck, cutting through its chin as well. You see your arrow also catches fire as it goes through and scorches in midair.
And I'll even, let's see, I moved 25. I'm going to move 5, 10, 15, this is 30. I'm going to keep kind of trotting away. These things suck. End turn.
All right. Nikos, you see Phaedron has decided to run away from this crazy deer that's burning all the buildings, but Jack has decided to take a stand. What would you like to do?
Take a stand too. I'll move up a bit and try a sacred flame against it. See how that works. Spells. Sacred flame. There it is.
You light a sacred flame next to it. It immediately sidesteps it. It does that deer thing where it hops to the side about a foot without even looking away.
And this is not the same creature that swallowed the orb, right?
No, that thing is more like a winged goat. This one is more like a deer.
Got it.
Or winged ram, I should say. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Hector.
Hector will be approaching his full speed, 10, 20, 30. 10, 20, 30. As he kind of makes it up to over here, he's trying to just stand closer to it, almost in its way, trying to bear the heat as much as he can. But he'll stop here as he starts grovel, cowering, and begging. As he's like, please turn away, go. Just trying to beg to this thing to get it away.
Okay, and that gives it everybody advantage on attacks against it?
If it's within 10 feet of me. So right now, where it is, it would not be doing anything.
Okay.
But if it moves within that range, then yes.
Yep. You are in the shade there as you underneath the stoa above. Uh-oh. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. That is the heart's turn. It looks down at you, grovel, crawling, and begging around it. As it kind of runs past you, starts going into Stoa here. And as it does, it starts scorching lights here. It's almost running away. I think I can't. One more. Jack.
Where does it run into? Get up off your ass. And he shoots an arrow. $18 to hit.
That will hit as you. It's running behind you or running away from you. You shoot it and it's behind as it goes right into it, dealing 3 piercing. The arrow sticks into its butt, but it now has a fire tail.
It's very unbecoming to grovel like that. End of turn.
Okay, Phaedron.
God, I was hoping this would work and it would stay in my sight. I'm gonna trot up, just to the point where I can just see it and take a shot at it.
Okay.
Still have that. Ooh, I shouldn't need it.
Yeah, you guys' arrows are doing great here as you just pecker it with these arrows. And this one finally goes into the back of its skull. You watch as its neck kind of breaks on a brace that holds up its body. Its horns fall forward, and the weight of its horns kind of bring it down. Its face goes face first into the earth and it starts dragging along as it does die from that.
Out of habit, I like ask Nylea for forgiveness, forgetting that it's a metal creature instead of like a real deer.
Do you say that out loud?
Yeah. Forgive me, Nylea.
Jack, you hear Phaedron doing a small prayer to Nylea behind you.
Everybody hears Jack just say, "I'm surrounded by morons." And then I start walking back towards the forest.
Okay. So you guys have dealt with the deer that was kind of setting things on fire here. It's gotten your way, and you decided to just pepper with arrows. And with that, you see there are people kind of running around throwing water onto the buildings now. Put out the fire, put out the fire. But this black smoke has kind of enveloped the whole area. It's getting a little harder to breathe now as wildfires are spreading through the thatched roofs of some of these towns very, very quickly.
Nikos would approach the thing and see if maybe there's a maker's mark, probably on like the underside or something. Maybe if you know who made these things, we could figure out what's going wrong.
Yeah, so you feel the warmth on it as you approach. It's not quite like the bonfire it was before, but it's still like quite a warm heat. You kind of poke around using your mace to move around. Give me a investigation check.
Sure. There.
You do not find a maker's mark anywhere on its body. You do notice that it's got quite a few holes in it. You see the edges of what looks like something maybe, but it's so torn up and dashed apart you can't figure out what it even would be.
All right. Well, maybe the next one. Although we haven't seen any others of these, right? We've seen plenty of the birds, but not.
Correct.
Only one of these hearts.
Yeah, correct. The hearts are not a common sight at all. This is the first time you guys have ever seen one. So Jack goes over, picks up his swords, puts his bows away. Phaedron picks up her net. It didn't quite get scorched, thankfully. And the path towards the forest is now open. You guys see that the smithy has kind of run off into the city. He's kind of limping. There's a trail of blood behind him where he had been bitten by the sable, but he doesn't seem to be incapacitated necessarily, just hurt.
A moron for taking down this thing. Who?
A moron for apologizing to a god that doesn't care.
It was out of habit. You're right.
No, I don't mean because it was a metal beastie. I mean in general. But it doesn't matter for now. Are you with me as we head to the woods, or are you gonna stay here and lick your wounds?
I'm with you. I'm with anyone who can help. I'm worried about the woods.
Very well. What about you, little blue one?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea for an artifact to be laying around. We gotta clean up this mess.
And you, Four Hoofs?
Yeah, find a second son for Helioid, of course.
You can call me Jack. Let's go as quick as we can.
I'll try to be as quick as I can.
Okay. So the four of you together begin moving out of the agora. You come into the open fields that lead to the Nessian Wood. There are still some trees around here as they're dispersed at the edge of the woods, but the thick, real Nessian woods are still a short distance away. As you come out into the grove area, you see your worst fear, Jack. Off in the distance, fires burn within the woods itself. You see a trail of scorched flames exactly following the path of where the sentinel has flown. Black smoke pours from the woods, clouding the distant skies, but something changes. As you step out, the weather immediately shifts. What has been a beautiful day thus far, sun shining brightly and warmly, a light breeze, winds begin to howl all around you. A cold breeze comes in. You see that the smoke kind of gets blown aside for a moment. In the distance, through the clouds, you see eyes staring from the sky. The eyes of a lynx. And they look angry.
How big are these eyes?
These are God's eyes. So in Theros, is well aware that the gods move at night through the night sky. So every time you go to sleep, you look in the night sky, you can actually see the gods moving through the night sky and often interacting with another, fighting wars, or peering down into their domain. These are gigantic lynx eyes. Nylea herself is well renowned for being associated with the lynx itself.
Jack looks up at these eyes and then looks over at Phaedron. Well, looks like you're up.
Up for what? Up for moving along?
Well,
I don't know what to do about this.
maybe
I
speak
don't
to
know
our...
what to do about any of this. How do we stop it?
I'm just thinking that if you are going to apologize to a god and then she appears in the sky, maybe you'd want to talk to her.
Sorry. Trying to help down here. Could use a little bit of help. Just saying.
Give me a religion check, Phaedron.
Big 8.
You look up into the sky. You speak to your god with a humble apology. Her eyes seem to lock with yours for a moment as you do this. Then she immediately looks down at her woods. A ferocity increases ever more. You're not
Well, I
entirely
don't think that helped much.
Yeah, you're not entirely sure exactly what was going on in those woods, but Nylea is not happy about it by any means.
Do any of you have a way of helping?
I mean, so what happened right before this was it got like suddenly very cold. Like, how cold is this?
A chilly wind has started roaring through the area, pushing aside the smokestacks above you. It's not like winter cold; it's more like a chilly summer day now, whereas it was a really beautiful day before.
The best I can think of is we can try to follow it and find the artifact. The artifact seems to be what's causing all of this.
Agreed.
And the eyes are still there in the smoke, looking down at us.
It's up in the sky, yeah, but it's these lynx eyes which are staring down at her forest.
Little one, what's your name?
I'm Hector.
Hector.
Yep.
Well, we need to be getting a move on kind of quickly. I don't know how you feel about it, but need a lift?
That would be nice. My legs are quite tired from this trip to Dasos? What's this town called?
Dasos?
Yeah, this trip took quite a bit out of me.
I
would
to reach down
gladly
and
accept it.
Reach down with a hand. Come on up.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. My short legs would definitely not be able to keep up.
Don't mess with my things back there.
I won't. You don't touch my book. I won't touch anything else.
Jack looks at Nikos and says, "Well, it looks like chivalry's not dead, at least with one member of your species."
What's that supposed to mean?
You could have offered it first.
Or maybe he wants.
I'm not looking for a ride. If that's
Oh, my bad.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised she did. I mean, there's no saddle, so where's he gonna hold on?
All my stuff. My bow. Don't break it. Don't mess with it. What are we doing? Let's get a move on. Nylea's already pissed. And I don't know what we can do to help, except, like you said, was it Hector?
Yep.
Let's find that artifact.
Okay.
Yeah, we follow the flames or the smoke. That should take us the right way.
Go ahead, I'll keep up with you.
So the three of you, with Hector on the back of Phaedron, begin charging towards the woods. You're all quite quick. You can tell that each of you has a very athletic body. Jack, about this time, your disguise begins wearing off.
Yeah, the rest of you see that where once was a human-looking, about 6'3" with a bear skin and deer antlers, now stands a minotaur with silver gray hair and kind of a red and black kilt. And he's running along. He's just as fast as you are, even though he's only got 2 legs. Don't mind me. The name didn't change very much. It's Mac now. Telemachus for longer.
Look over and stumble and almost, correct it so that Hector doesn't fall off.
Not that I owe you.
The other guy. You... What?
Not that I owe you an explanation, but they don't take too kindly to minotaurs in town, so I use a little bit of the hocus pocus to cover it while I'm there. Doesn't last as long as I would like.
And is the name really Jack?
That's a name I use when I'm there. Telemachus for when I'm in this form.
Telemachus. Do you have this form? Do you have other forms?
That's the 2 that I have right now.
You guys are just yelling this while you're sprinting towards the woods.
Yep.
I could have probably had some of that hocus pocus too. Ugh. No one's really short.
Phaedron, you feel like a strange thing crawling in your back, and you realize there's a rat on your back. And it's not Hector.
Oh, that's
I'm trying to
Cass.
swat it off.
No, that's Cass.
Give me a dexterity saving throw, Hector.
Where is it? Oh yeah. Dude, beyond. Dex save. There it is. I think I pressed it.
Ooh!
Oh snap!
That's
Phaedron,
Cass.
Phaedron swaps
Double
off
crit.
Cass, and as she goes out of the air, follow you go, no, that's Cass, and you reach out, swoop her out of the air, and pull her close to your chest.
What's a
That's-
gas?
She's my otter, my familiar. She helps me bring books to flips pages.
And as you look at it, you what you thought a second ago was a rat is actually an otter. It actually looks quite similar to the bronze sables you had just taken out, but a real one.
Okay.
I call her Cass. You could also call her Cassiopeia. That works too.
Does she to call her? Does she talk?
Not yet.
Okay, hi, Kaz. Don't bite me, please.
She's
She
she
have any
listens to everything I tell her.
diseases?
Nope, not at all. She's basically just she's only been in a library and the observatory ever. She just stays in my pack most of the time. Sometimes she gets out of there and I don't know, looks outside.
Do you have any idea what a familiar is? This little lizard is like, oh, this is my familiar.
Give me an Arcana check. DC 11. It's only a first level spell. You have no idea what a familiar is.
Basically, she helps me get books.
Okay, book order. Thanks, book order.
You kind of assume that it's just some pet that he has. Not sure why he's calling it a familiar. So the group begins charging. You're yelling at each other. It's a pretty significant distance to get to the actual woods themselves. Nylea doesn't appreciate civilization moving in her woods, and since this civilization still worships her, they're very respectful of that. You come to a field of flowers that's been planted in her honor. The flowers themselves are planted by color to form her emblem within the field itself. It's actually quite beautiful. As you come in, though, you notice that the flowers are kind of drooping, almost dying, withering a bit. And you see there is a line, a very clear line, a scorched line, of where the sentinel head are flown right through the emblem of Nylea, cutting it in half.
That's a shame.
Not just a shame, it's cause for revenge.
Sorry, Nylea. We'll figure this out.
You run through the field, getting to the edge of the Nessian Wood. The Nessian Wood is an ancient wood. Nylea's sacred place in the realm of Theros, a place where her natural powers run rampant. The trees here are old. They sometimes move. They're strong, powerful, and it's thick. It's hard to move through here quite often. You run in and begin to immediately find yourselves wrapped in vines and plants that are almost reaching out to grab you and restrain you. You're moving through difficult terrain. You're pushing through, trying not to break anything, as it's well known that destroying plants and trees in the Nessian Woods is cause for Nylea's ire. Those of you that only had an inkling of it, Phaedron might have been able to let you know that. But I need to turn that music down just a bit. It gets loud. Holy cow. You're right there. There we go.
We've lost you, Cora.
No, I was talking to stream as I was
Talking
turning the
to
music down.
Oh.
You listen to stream and me talk at the same time, CJ?
No, I just see her lips moving, and so I'm like, it's stream.
Yeah.
I got used to it from Monday. Well, not Monday, but
Everybody give me a survival check, because you're kind of moving through the Nessian Wood here.
Would I have any benefit on this since I live here?
Yeah, do with advantage.
What about me?
Also do with advantage.
Serious.
Telemachus, this is not where you normally enter the woods at. This sentinel has definitely flown towards your house, but from a different way than you normally head to get into town. There's a more clear path a little ways away, so you're not used to walking through here, and your horns kind of get stuck on a branch. You're like, and you yank your way out. When you look around, everyone else is gone. Nikos, Hector, and Phaedron, you guys managed to kind of stick together as you're moving through. But Phaedron, as you move a short distance, you look around and you hear Telemachus yell out a yell, and you realize that you've lost him.
I will
Jack!
call out him and
Telejack. Jack.
Don't
Mama?
worry about me. I know these words like the back of my hand.
I'll use thaumaturgy to make my voice really loud and yell, "Jack, Mac, this way. We're over here.
All
Follow
right.
the sound of my voice."
I trip over a down tree. All right, I'll be right there.
Give me another survival check with advantage, Mac.
All right.
Yeah, with the sound of Nikos' voice being projected, you manage to get yourself up from tripping over the dead tree, and you find yourselves next to them. They're very hard to see, as you can only see maybe 10, 15 feet in front of you in the woods. The trees move so close here, and the vines grow so heavy. The ivy almost works like sheets covering entire areas. Everything here is very wild and crazy.
He kind of pulls a twig out of his mustache.
You guys begin smelling burning more. As you move further down the towards where you know the sentinel is headed, you come face to face with the forest fires themselves. What would you like to do? As you see, there's almost a wall of fire stretching out in front of you now.
Is there any water nearby?
Give me a nature check. You see a small spring or creek, a little ways away, leading somewhere. You just managed to have heard it with your centaur hearing.
Is it near any of the burning?
It's not heading that way necessarily, no. So like the fire is spread out in front of you, straight ahead, and the spring is a little bit back a ways, leading off almost parallel with the fire.
Okay.
Hopefully the animals will find their way out away from this.
Yeah. Hopefully we will.
I'm sure
Should
we'll
we
be
go
fine.
through parallel? Does it look like there's literally a wall? Like, I guess we're trying to track where the. I guess our. Should we follow the fire? Which direction does it go?
Is there maybe a gap that's big enough to dart through to get through the fire, or
I would say that the fire is almost spreading, so you see it's kind of jumping from tree to tree as it spreads and catches fire. You might be able to work a gap through if you guys could locate one, but you do know that the fire itself would lead to the sentinel you're chasing down.
As you say, we walk parallel to it. Stay in the water if you can.
That sounds very smart.
Okay. Yes, you guys you head towards the creek, jumping into it, knowing that you'll probably be a little more safe there, as the water will not catch on fire, as water cannot do. So you follow along the creek. The creek almost seems to run parallel with the fire itself. Mac, give me a nature check. You are familiar with this spring. It is near your home. You've seen it before. You use it to get fresh water occasionally. You've tracked things around here. But from what you remember, this is not the path it traveled. You find yourself walking past a rock that you recognize, a cliff edge that you recognize, and you quickly realize that the spring has changed direction. And as you guys have been walking down it, you also realize that the spring has been running parallel to the firewall the whole time.
This isn't where the water usually is. Something's wrong. Or something's right?
Yeah, it sounds like this is working out.
Whatever it is, I don't trust it. The faster we get there, the better.
Okay, so you continue running along the path. You come to you continue following the firewall. You're just running at this point, running. The woods have cleared up a little bit here around the spring as the vines don't hang quite as low into the water, and you're able to move a little more efficiently. When you hear the sound of cracking wood, you look up, you see a